Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's the first video of this upcoming FPL season and it's a huge video. FPL have made multiple changes, not just one, not two, nope, loads of changes. And in fact, it's the most changes I've ever seen made in FPL. So stick with me on this video because I'm going to run you through what the change is, why FPL introduced it, and more importantly, how we can use this change to benefit us. Now, if this sounds good to you, do me a big favor, drop a like and subscribe. As I said, it's the first video of the season, so I need all your support to get this YouTube algorithm going. Let's get straight into it. So the first change we're going to talk about is called defensive contributions. Now, what is this change? It basically changed the point scoring system in FPL. It's an opportunity for us to score even more points every game week. Now, they've done this by adding more points for players who make 10 clearances, blocks, interceptions, and tackles in a match. And as you can tell, this is going to help defensive players that we normally wouldn't have in our teams. So hopefully opening the pool of players up. Now, why have they made this change in FPL? Well, one of the main reasons is to improve the pool of players we can pick from. Normally, it's a close shop. When we pick defenders, we only ever pick fullbacks, for example, because there's potential of attacking returns. We never pick defensive midfielders. We never really pick centre-backs. Maybe Gabriel or Van Dijk you might go for. But the reality is we only like to go for attacking players. Attacking midfielders, wingers, strikers. And it makes sense. They're the ones scoring the most points. Well, this season, it looks like FPL is trying to address that by changing the scoring system, which might make players like defensive midfielders and centre-backs much more appealing. This should hopefully allow us to pick players you would normally never ever pick. So far, this rule change sounds good to me. So how does this new scoring system work? Well, let's get into it. Any defender who reaches a combination total of 10 clearances, blocks, interceptions, and tackles will receive 2 points. Now, that might not sound like a lot of points to you, but trust me, that will make a huge difference throughout the season. How many times have you owned a centre-back, the team's conceded, you have no more hope, you're only going to get 2 points, where if they meet this criteria, they can get 4 points. Now, that's pretty good if you ask me. Midfielders and forwards are also added into this new scoring system, but unlike defenders trying to reach 10, midfielders need to reach 12. And there's a reason for that is they've also given midfielders ball recoveries, which makes it a bit more easy for them to click up the 10 total, so they've made it 12 for midfielders and forwards. Again, this might make players like Caicedo and Declan Rice viable. Normally, we would never look at them. And you should be able to check these points during the matches in the app and the website, which again, I think is an excellent change. Now, I'm going to put some graphics on the screen to try and help you visualize what this scoring system is and how it actually works. So there's 2 graphics on the screen, one with one column which shows you the top 10 defenders from last season. As you can see, the regular faces there, a combination of some centre-backs and some full-backs there. The other graphic shows you the top 10 defenders from last season if we also include this new scoring system. Now take a look and you tell me what you notice. What are the major differences? Get in the comments and let me know. The first noticeable thing you can see is here, centre-backs have had a big bump in the new scoring system and full-backs have been calmed down a little. As you could see, someone like Trent is a good example. Outstanding defender. Yes, he's left for Real Madrid, but we know him in FPL as being a gem, hence why he's been one of the most expensive defenders in the game. But just look how many points he would have got from this new scoring system. Only 6 points. Hence why he's gone down in the table. And this is one of the reasons why there's probably only 2 fullbacks, maybe 3 if we include Vardiol, but he did play a combination of centre-back and left-back last season. But you could see it's dominated by centre-backs. So immediately this tells you what this rule change is going to do. It's going to increase the pool of players we normally pick from in defensive players. As I said, normally we only look at fullbacks. I mean, even now, the season hasn't started and I've started to think about Kirkes, Frimpong, Aït-Nouri. Where now this rule change has come at a time where I need to start thinking about other players like Tarkowski and other centre-backs. Another graphic I would like to show you is this one here. It's also using last season's data, and this time it's using all the defensive players and defensive midfielders as well. Have a look at the top 10 players in this list there and have a look at how much points they would have scored if we was using the defensive contributions scoring system. The first thing you notice is there's a players in that list you would normally never ever consider, which is a good thing. This tells us now we might have more players viable for us to pick in FPL. I mean, Tarkowski scored 44 points extra using this new scoring system. When you consider he plays for Everton under Moyes, who is very good defensively, maybe a couple of headers here and there, he might become an excellent pick. Caicedo coming in second with 42 points, a defensive midfielder, a player you would normally never ever consider. Now, depending on his price, you might think about him as your fifth midfielder. This is what this defensive contributions is trying to do. Open up the game for us, and I'm all for it. Get in the comments and let me know what you think about this new rule change. Right, let's get to the next one, and I hope you're hungry because boy, I have loads of chips for you. Official FPL have introduced more chips for us, and we're going to get into it and go through it. Now, what did this change mean to us? Well, basically, last year, say you had 4 chips. This year, they've doubled the stakes and given us 8 chips. Yes, you heard correct. 8 FPL chips, which consist of the wildcard, free hits, triple captain, and bench boost. The first set to be used in the first half of the season, the second set to be used for the second half of the season. I should add, they also spoke about the assistant manager chip, which caused so much commotion in the FPL community last season. Guess what? They've killed it off. It's gone. No more assistant manager. I'm happy about that. Let me know in the comments if you're happy about that as well. So why have official FPL made these changes? Why have they caused this carnage? Why have they given us 8 chips? Well, from my perspective, I think the main reason is it's to drive engagement. Let's not forget, the game that we love, official FPL, the main reason for it is to get more views, more engagement, a bigger audience for the Premier League. And if you do more chips, which a lot of the managers, maybe more the casual managers, find it much more fun to activate chips, then if you're giving them double, that's going to attract more players and maybe keep more players playing for a longer period throughout the whole season. So that's the first and most important part. The second reason I think they introduced it is I think it gives much more opportunities for huge scores. Now, we all know when we get a huge score, we can't stop bragging to our friends, bragging on social media. We love it. We can't stop talking about it. Huge green arrows, looking at our mini leagues and bragging. Well, if you've got 8 chips, you've got 8 opportunities to get those big influxes of huge scores, which tend to be the biggest and best bits in FPL. So you can see why, again, they've introduced these chips. And lastly, official FPL did touch on a strategic reason for why they've doubled our chips. They seem to think it's going to be much more strategic and more planning for us FPL managers to plan 2 sets of chips, unlike normally we only plan our chips for the latter part of the season where there's double game weeks and blank game weeks. It remains to be seen whether this is true. It's the first time we've ever had 2 sets of chips, so we will judge it come end of the season. But I'm intrigued to know what you think about this chip here. Too far? Too many chips? You fed up with chips? Get in the comments and let me know. Now, when can we use this new set of chips? Well, let's look at it like this. The first set of chips, all 4 of them, need to be used before the game week 19 deadline, which is at the moment Tuesday the 30th of December. They cannot be carried over, so don't try to be smart and save yourself 8 juicy chips for the last month of the season. That will not work. You lose your 4 chips, so just bear that in mind. The second set of chips needs to be played between game week 20 and 38. Not much change for us FPL managers because a lot of us used to save our chips for the latter part of the season for the double game weeks and blank game weeks. The next rule change in FPL is more assists. Now, when I first saw this heading, I was thinking, what are they talking about? How can they tamper with its assists? But the more you look into it, the more it makes sense. Now, first of all, what do I mean by more assists? How have they tweaked this assist rule? So I'm going to give you the official definition, what FPL put out. The definition of fantasy assist has been simplified to better recognize players for their contributions to goals, and to reduce the degree of subjectivity involved so that it's easier for FPL managers to see when their players getting an assist. Now, while I'm reading this, I'm smiling because I know how this assist rule or previous rule has impacted me. And what I mean by that is, there's times when I thought I've got an assist, it looked like an assist, and then we see the official FPL, it gives the goal scorer, and then it says none near the assister. And I'm very frustrated. And there's been other times where I think that's not an assist, no chance. My mini league rival all of a sudden has got given an assist. It wasn't clear, and it really frustrated FPL managers. It seems like they've simplified it, which can only mean an improvement, and like they've said, more assists given to us. This change should reduce the complications in Fantasy Premier League when it comes to assists. Oh, that makes me happy reading that. So far, this rule change is sounding really, really good. Now, why have official FPL gone and made changes to the assist rule? From my perspective, it always comes down to more engagement, happier managers. And with this rule change here, you're going to be giving more managers more assists, which equals to more points, which hopefully from their perspective equals more engagement and more watching of the Premier League. And to get an idea of how much this rule change will impact the Premier League, let's look at last season's data, but use these new assist rules. We would have had 41 extra assists. Yes, you heard that correct. 41. That's a huge number. As I said a minute ago, happy managers, more points, more communication, more engagement, all because of this rule change. Now, the most important part, how's this new assist rule going to work? Let's start with intended destination. Until now, players have not been awarded an assist if their pass was deflected by an opponent away from the intended target or destination. Now, this one here used to frustrate me. So at times, your player would go past someone, cross it in or pass it in, and it might take a deflection or a touch, but it still goes to someone and they score. You do not get the assist. Now, you will get the assist. That's a huge positive. So you can see straight away where that 41 number would have come from. Loads of assists last season got taken away because of that. The next change is regarding defensive touches. If a pass takes 2 or more defensive touches before reaching a goal scorer, there will be no fantasy assists. I'm quite happy with that because there's normally one touch is quite common. Someone goes past someone, they cross it in or pass it. It normally takes one touch, but your striker still scores it and you don't get the assist. In this instance, you will get that assist, but you won't get it if it takes 2 touches, which I'm comfortable with. Defensive errors. Until now, if a goal was scored thanks to an unforced defensive error, no fantasy assist was awarded. This one used to frustrate me as well. Why should we be punished for a defender makes a mistake? Yet there's still an assist there somewhere for us. So again, more gains for us FPL managers. And lastly, the last change is about forced handballs. Players can earn a fantasy assist if they win a penalty or a free kick by making the last attacking action a touch prior to handball being awarded. So that means some of those dodgy handballs now, if your player gets that handball and the goal is scored, you get the assist. Before we didn't used to get that, now we do. It's another welcome addition, more points, more ways to points. I don't think the majority of FPL managers are going to be upset regarding this change. Let me know in the comments what you think. The next rule change, yes, I said another one. I did say to you, official FPL have been very, very busy this summer. Now, this round is regarding AFCON and how they give us extra transfers. Now, stay with me here. We're going to run through this one here. Then I want your opinion in the comments, what you think about this one in particular. I need to know if you like or dislike. What does this change mean? What do I mean by extra transfers for AFCON? Well, as we know, the African nations, we know is a tournament that runs in January, which tends to mean some of our best players, Mohamed Salah, Marmoush, will go missing during that period. Normally, it's up to us to plan, make sure we've got transfers in the bank to navigate this period. Well, FPL thought, nope, you don't need to do that. You can have 5, you heard that correct, 5 free transfers to navigate this difficult period. This change means managing the AFCON now becomes straightforward and easy. So a lot of the engaged managers are really upset regarding this change here because you've removed the planning, the strategic element here. Normally, you have to think very carefully which players you get rid of before this period, how you're going to cope without them, who to swap them for, all of that good stuff. Now, in theory, you can keep the best African players in your team right up to the last minute. Then you've got the extra transfers and then you could sell them. This change so far is not sounding great. Now, why have they made this change? Why have the official FPL made this change? I think personally, they've tried to keep the less engaged managers, maybe the more casual managers, playing fantasy football for longer. This period can be a tricky period. If you're managing your team and you're not hardcore, you don't know when your players are vanishing to the African nations, all of a sudden you look at your team, you've got 8 players. Now, no problem. Swap those players out, bring them in. So I think they're catering for the more casual manager here so it doesn't cause them too much problems. Normally for us, super engaged managers, we know which players, the timings, the game weeks, how long they go for. We don't have an issue with that. Again, this change is not sounding great at the moment. I mean, this last line is taken from the actual FPL blurb. This will allow you to react if any members of your FPL squad do depart early, while also helping you avoid any potential price drops when rival managers sell the same players. Well, excuse me. That's what we do. This is us FPL managers. We use our knowledge, our planning to navigate that period. And that's part of the difficulty in what makes this game great. You could argue that's been taken away completely by offering these transfers. Now, how is this going to work? I mean, there is some technicalities around it. They don't just throw 5 transfers into your account. So let's go through that. Managers will benefit from 5 free transfers ahead of the tournament starting in December. The AFCON matches covers game weeks 17 to 22. Strategically, in order to fully profit from the extra free transfers, managers would be wise to ensure they have 0 free transfers in the bank by the end of the game week 15. Now again, this is FPL thinking they're adding strategy here by making sure that you need to use your transfers. But I mean, which FPL manager ever has trouble using transfers? I mean, it'd be my pleasure. I'll use those transfers non-stop. I would normally be using -4s. But if you're telling me I have to use transfers so I can get these 5 juicy free transfers, then I don't think there's going to be a manager in the world that doesn't oblige and use those transfers. So they say strategically, I don't see much strategy there, if I'm totally honest with you. We're going to know to use our transfers so we can collect these new transfers and then utilize these again. This would mean, along with your usual free transfer for game week 16, you would benefit from 4 more of them. So basically, if you use your transfers up until game week 16, you're going to get your normal free transfer at +4, which gives you the 5. Get in the comments and let me know what you think about this one here. I'm super intrigued to think what you think about this. Official FPL have also tweaked the bonus point system. So let's get into that. Goalkeepers, for starters, they get 2 bonus points if the shot is outside the box and 3 bonus points if it's inside the box. And if the goalkeeper saves a penalty, it's going to be 8 points, unlike last season where it was 9 points. So it's slightly nerfed this season. The next tweak to the rules was regarding goal line clearances. So to recognize the importance of goal line clearances and how critical they can be in match results, a player will now earn 9 points in a bonus points as opposed to 3 bonus points last season. Now, please bear in mind, that's not 9 points and 3 points. All of these points you're hearing that you're going to be receiving every time they do this is how they calculate the total bonus points. And then whoever's got the most score, that's when they allocate the 3, 2, or 1 to the players. But this is a nice introduction, I suppose. I mean, how often do players do goal line clearances? And it's unlikely you're going to pick players based on goal line clearance potential. Penalty goals. Now, penalties, they used to be very good for bonus points. They used to be around worth 24 points. Now they've been nerfed completely. They're around 12 points. So the players, maybe the attackers who used to win those penalties or score those penalties, they won't get as much bonus points using the new scoring system. Successful tackles. This has been tweaked as well. They've simplified it, which is very good as well. And the most important part of this change here is this season, each tackle won in a match will be rewarded with 2 bonus points. Now, when you add this accumulation, and we spoke at the start, the main rule change, which is defensive contributions, all of a sudden, these centre-backs and defensive players might become very important to us, especially if bonus points start going their way as well. And the last tweak they made was regarding the bonus points ties. This normally happens when you've got 3 or 2 players on the same score regarding bonus points and they're not quite sure who to give the maximum points to. Now they will use this criteria here. If there is a tie for first place, players 1 and 2 will receive 3 points each and player 3 will receive 1 point. If there is a tie for second place, player 1 will receive 3 points and player 2 and 3 will receive 2 points. If there is a tie for third place, player 1 will receive 3 points, player 2 will receive 2 points, and player 3 and 4 will receive 1 point each. Me personally, I'm quite happy with this bonus point change. They've simplified the rules, they've made it nice and clear for us, they've nerfed the penalty bonus points, which was quite high to be fair, they've improved the defensive ones, so all in all, very good here. Believe it or not, there's a couple more changes before we finish this video, but they're quite small ones, so I've grouped them together and we're just going to quickly fly through them. First and foremost is the qualifying for global leagues. This is a new addition that FPL has added, and it's basically managers who finished in the top 114,000 places last season get rewarded and enter into a top bracket mini league. And there's also another one for the top 10%ers who finished in the top million, you might as well say 1,143,000, around those places there. You'll be invited to these special mini leagues there. And lastly, Premier League official FPL have teamed up with Microsoft and Copilot to bring AI to inject artificial intelligence into the game we love. Now, what does this mean? Is it going to start picking our teams and stuff like that? I very much doubt it. The little information they have provided us, it seems like Premier League has allowed their data, so all videos, graphics, all the statistics to be fed into Copilot, to be mined, which means they can provide us with agents, or they call it Premier League companions, which means you can put a prompt in their little query, almost like a Google search, ask it, what's the statistics for Mohamed Salah versus Manchester United away? And it will just bring up all the data for you. And so instead of being a data analytics nerd or knowing where to go to get that data, and a lot of users who have never used analytics might actually get this opportunity. It makes it much more accessible. So this is where I see this being very useful. It just makes it very easy to prompt, what's Everton's record at Old Trafford? Stuff like that, just the data right in front of you. It might help you make that key decision before the deadline. So it could turn out to be a good introduction. I'm not quite sure yet. It remains to be seen how well this is going to work, or is it going to be a fad like FPL challenge? Thank you for watching the video. Hopefully you found it useful. Loads of changes. There's a lot going on. Hopefully I summarized it for you well in this video. And if you did find it useful, please drop a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. You're going to want to get the notifications on. This season I've got loads of incredible guests, incredible content, new graphics, more prizes. There's a lot of good stuff going to happen. So stick around and I'll see you in my next video.